Hey everyone, welcome to another Human Side interview. My name's Mitch Jackson, CEO of Human.Social. I have a very special guest with me today, attorney out of Phoenix, Arizona, my old stomping grounds in, nearby Tucson, Arizona, and that is Ruth Carter. Ruth, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a true pleasure.
Well, the pleasure is all mine, and once I introduce you, and I know by the time we're done, the audience will feel that the pleasure is all theirs also, Ruth. And for those of you who don't know Ruth, let me give her a proper introduction, because when I first read an article about Ruth in the ABA Journal magazine, I don't remember if it was the off or online version, Ruth, it fascinated me. I'm like, I've got to get this person on my show. And Ruth, and I'm going to go ahead and just read your intro. I don't want to miss anything, but Ruth is building a national reputation as the go-to flash mob lawyer. And we're going to ask Ruth to describe what that is for us. She's also a specialist in developing an outstanding reputation as a lawyer, focusing her practice helping others with social media, with IP law, and with blogging issues, approaches, and techniques for other lawyers. Her firm handles areas involving and assisting entrepreneurs, innovators, creators, and performers. Ruth has written several books about blogging and the digital platforms, and I believe they're all available at her site. I'll ask her to share that website link with all of us. And she also likes to remind law school students and new lawyers not to lose their personality when they get their law degree, and I think that's really important, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. To get a good, quick, overall idea of where Ruth's coming from, I'd like to share with you a quote by Ruth in the ABA Journal. And Ruth, I think you know where I'm going with this, but she was quoted as saying, quote, "When I started law school, I drank the Kool-Aid thinking I needed to be in the top 1% of my class, hide my piercings and tattoos, and aspire to be a judicial clerk or a big firm lawyer. But I realized very fast that the classic conservative lawyer ideas weren't for me." Ruth, that is awesome. I mean, that's what you're all about. That's why you're on the show today, and that's why you're kicking ass in the legal world across the country and across the world. Thanks for being on the Human Side interviews.
Thank you so much. It's very interesting to have people read back things I've either said or written. It's like, oh, that's right, I said that, didn't I?
Yeah, a little secret about the digital platforms today. Whatever you put out there, whatever you say, it's there forever. And sometimes I cringe when I'm looking at different results, or somebody will send me a link from an interview of 1 or 2 or 3 years ago. It's like, did I really say that? And
Yeah, on the flip side, though, sometimes it's like, wow, that's really brilliant. I said that? Awesome.
probably more often than not with you, and that's why you're on the show today. Okay, so Ruth, let's start off just a little bit. Let's go back to your advice to law school students and your advice to young lawyers about not losing their identity. Where did that thought come from, and why did you say that?
It really came out of my own experience. I remember when I was getting ready to start law school, people were telling me that I had to change who I was to fit in. They said, lay low, dress conservatively, dress professionally, take out your piercings, keep your tattoos hidden. Someone even suggested I change my sunglasses. I threw myself at the clerks at Old Navy and said, dress me. I need to pass as a proper professional woman. Help. And I just tried to fit in. I tried to be the cookie cutter law student and be what I thought we were supposed to aspire to be. And it felt really fake. And I felt like I was putting on an act every day. And then I think during my winter break of my first year and into my second semester of law school, I really started discovering things like social media and blogging and flash mobs and getting involved in those communities outside of law school and developing my interest within those areas as they connected to the law. And it was there that I found my niches and my people and my tribe and areas of law that I really wanted to continue to delve into. And it led to the connections that led to the connections that led to the connections that led to a lot of the professional success I have today.
That's such an important message for young lawyers to hear. I always tell lawyers, if you're doing things like everyone else, you're doing things the wrong way. You've got to be yourself. You've got to follow your passions, follow your dreams, and don't be afraid to let your own internal art show to the world. It's just a wonderful thing. Let's talk a little bit about flash mob law. What is flash mob law? When I saw that, that's what made me reach out to you. Never had any idea how complicated flash mob law is. Can you explain the different nuances and different variables that go into being a flash mob lawyer and counseling your clients on what their flash mob options are?
Sure. So I am a flash mob attorney and also a flash mob organizer and participant. I think I've done 20 different flash mobs since 2009.
Nice.
And as an attorney, I look at what a group wants to do, and my goal is to help them pull off their event stunt shenanigans in such a way that they're not setting themselves up to be sued or arrested after the fact. So I kind of have to think about how many things could go wrong, what could they be accused of doing wrong, try to mitigate those situations, and then look at the circumstances and ask, is this a situation where we should ask permission in advance or beg forgiveness after the fact if we have to?
And one of the areas that grabbed my attention when reading the article about flash mob law that was written about you, are the differences with civil legal issues, criminal issues. What are some of the legal issues that come up with the typical flash mob situation?
It could be all types of issues, from copyright related to music, photos and video that are taken during the event, property issues, criminal issues, depending on where you are and what you're doing. You could be looking at trespassing, blocking a thoroughfare, disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, some of those catch-all laws that they just kind of throw at you if they just don't like you, littering. There have been a lot of problems in the past at various pillow fight flash mobs, either where one time it was on a rainy day and the feathers from the pillows clogged drains and caused $30,000 worth of damage. At another one, a person learned the hard way, you shouldn't hit a police officer with your pillow. There's been a couple other instances. And so you just have to kind of think these things through in advance to figure out your do's and don'ts in a particular event.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't realize is you have civil trespass, you have civil money damages when you have feathers arguably, damaging somebody's property, and then you have criminal laws, criminal trespass, criminal assault and battery issues if there's no wrongful touching. You have constitutional issues, First Amendment rights, 14th Amendment rights, and things like that. And I never really thought about all of these things coming together. Are the laws different, Ruth, in each state, or are we talking federal laws which control flash mob law throughout the country?
You know that the answer to every legal question is it depends. So it depends on what type of property you're on. But if we're talking about criminal law, usually that is a state level law. But there also could be city ordinances that come into effect. Like one time we were thinking about dressing up in fairy wings and tutus and feeding expired parking meters as parking meter fairies, and we had to figure out what cities in our area is that allowed. And in some places it's kosher, in other places it's illegal. So you gotta look at what you want to do.
Well, it sounds like if you're planning on having a flash mob type of situation, it might be a good idea to consult with someone like you about what the local rules, variances, and regulations are in that particular city, state, and then whether or not there are any overriding federal laws that you need to be aware of, right?
Exactly.
Okay. What? 2 quick questions, and I think you can handle back-to-back questions here. So number one, what got you interested in the whole flash mob law type of scenario? And number 2, how have you used social media to help share your thoughts with your audience, with your tribe?
So how did I get involved in flash mob law? I participated in a flash mob during my first year of law school. It was the inaugural No Pants Light Rail ride in Phoenix, where 90 of us rode our light rail in our underwear in January.
I love it. What was the purpose of that?
There was a purpose?
There
I could
doesn't have to be. Don't. No, I'm not
I could
judging.
try to come up with something, but no, it's an event that happens every year all over the
Okay.
world on the same day. You ride your bus, your subway, your light rail in your underpants. It's awesome.
Love it.
Um, and so from the first time, I had to always think, okay, can I do this, and how can I do it without getting in trouble? So, and then that turned into helping other people stay out of trouble. So that was That was my beginning of flash mob law. And then how do I leverage social media to connect with people? I think social media is one of the best tools I have as an attorney. It allows me to connect with people I wouldn't otherwise be able to reach because they don't live near me, or we don't run in close enough circles that we would meet face to face. It's a great way to start a conversation with someone you don't otherwise know. Like if you just jump on Twitter, and it's like an online cocktail party where you just watch the conversations and jump in when it makes sense for you to contribute. And then as a blogger, that's been fantastic for me as a business person to not only let prospective clients know that I understand their concerns, I can help them with their problems by writing about issues that are similar to problems that they're having, but it also gives them a chance to see my personality before they meet me. I think a lot of people have this idea of what a stereotypical lawyer is, and that's definitely something that I'm not. And so a lot of people have reached out to me saying, I want to meet with you because you already speak my language, you speak social media, you speak entrepreneurship, and you're not a stuffy, boring lawyer. I can have a conversation with you, be real, not feel intimidated, and get my needs met. So.
And you're doing a great job doing that. I know once we first connected, I was clicking around and watching a video of you walking through an office. I think there was a video of either your dog or somebody's dog in one of the offices, and I'm a dog guy, and so there's an immediate connection there, as you well know. Ruth, what do you see the biggest mistake young and old lawyers are making when it comes to either using social media or deciding whether or not they should use social media? How do they keep shooting themselves in the feet, and how can they overcome the mistakes that they're making?
There's a couple of mistakes I see. People who use social media as a digital billboard are doing it wrong. It is an interaction platform. It's a way to communicate with people, not at people. So if the only thing you're doing is posting articles about yourself, and then you never respond when someone reaches out to you, that's kind of like having a telephone and then never answering it. I mean, that's the way I look at it. It's a communications tool. If you're not communicating, then if you're using it like a bullhorn, you're doing it wrong. So that's one thing I see wrong. Another thing is not making interacting online a priority. I know one of the challenges you have when you are a lawyer is, yes, you have your practice. If you are an owner or in an eat what you kill environment, you have to be constantly bringing the business in. So people, I think, assume that networking is only face-to-face and going to networking lunches and seminars and happy hours, but online is a great place to also network with people. So if you are going to play in that space, you actually have to get on and be available to talk to people, and not just once every 6 months. It has to be an ongoing, and keep the conversation going, or conversations going.
Well, a very real relationship. Relationships, two-way communications. It's listening 70% of the time, maybe 80% of the time, and then helping others and not expecting anything in return. What's interesting is I was on yesterday with a friend of mine from Australia, a great young Australian lawyer, Chris Hargraves. And I don't know if you caught the show, but we met on social. He gets it. He's sharing these thoughts with his fellow Australian lawyer friends, and from what it sounds to me, Ruth, it's kind of interesting. You may want to connect with him, especially regarding your books, is they're still getting up to speed on a lot of the platforms that, frankly, a lot of my lawyer friends are using here in the States. And what I was explaining to Chris is there's a market there that he's positioning himself on as a potential expert for many, many years to come. But it's because he's putting himself out there and he's being himself, and he's not worried about being transparent. He's not worried about what other people are going to think. And it's a great quality. Once you get that, And for instance, with me, I don't like how I look on video. I don't like how I sound. I'm not the most articulate guy in the world, but I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy meeting people like you and doing these shows. So I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it till I get it right. And here's the secret: I'm never going to get it right. Right? You just keep plugging away.
Exactly. It's just a conversation. It's not about being perfect all the time. It's about being a real person.
Oh, I love that. Being a real person. If you know, all the lawyers and professionals out there, remember that. Those are key words you have to bring to the table. And there's no better way to do that and interact and develop relationships than through social media, through the digital platforms. It's just another way to communicate. Ruth, let's switch directions real quick, if you don't mind. And I don't want to pry into any personal things, so just be honest with me with your feedback. But you mentioned about going to law school and bringing a certain personality into the law school arena. What did you do before law school, and what were your passions and interests, and why did you decide to go to law school?
So before law school, I worked in the mental health industry for 9 years. I was a licensed mental health counselor. I worked for a nonprofit agency that provided a variety of services to adults living with hepatitis C and HIV. I am bisexual, and I was working in an environment that probably half the people in the office were either lesbian, gay, bisexual, or trans. And that was a big shift to go from living in Gaytown or working in Gaytown to going to law school, where it's very white, male-centric, heterosexual-centric, very conservative. So some of the things that I was suggested that I shift were to dress more like a straight girl, make my hair a little less spiky. I had more piercings in my head at the time, so I had a barbell through 2 parts of my ear. That was awesome. Took that out, and I actually had this kind of like almost like clown makeup. That's how thick it was, but it was skin tone. And on the times I didn't wear, I have tattoos on the tops of both of my feet, and so I would put this makeup on, and then put on pantyhose, which that stuff is torture. Whenever I wore like an open top shoe, like pumps with a skirt, which I think, so I did that for a while because I was told, don't let anyone see your tattoos. Make sure that type of thing is acceptable before you let yourself let your freak flag fly. And really, and people who told me that they came from a loving place. They didn't want me to be judged coming in the door. And so They said, get in, get the lay of the land, and then figure all that out. And probably by the end of my second year, I had basically thrown all those ideas out the window.
Did you see my blog post yesterday about a continuing education program put on, I think it was in Alabama, by the judges, instructing the female lawyers to dress more conservatively, to wear pantyhose with their dresses, and to wear dresses that were longer than short skirts, and to wear pantsuits. I don't know if you saw that. I saw that. I'm like, what year are we living in?
I saw it come through my Twitter stream, and I was like, are you serious? I had wondered about the context. I remember like Ally McBeal, when all those actresses wore like mini skirt suits, and that doesn't look like fun to sit in. But on the flip side, I was like, really? Obviously, any person who suggests that women wear pantyhose all the time has never had to wear a pair himself.
Enough said. And along those same lines, check out the video I just posted this morning from, what's his name? A guy that used to be on The Daily Show. He's got his own show now, but he has a video. It's about 13 minutes long about judicial elections and the whole judicial election process. And it covers some of the things we just talked about. It's hysterical, but it's also an eye-opener, and everyone needs to check it out. Real-life experiences. You got out of law school. Did you go to ASU? Is that where you went to law school?
I did.
Okay, you went to ASU, got out of law school. Did you ever have any experiences in court, good or bad, with respect to any of your tattoos or body piercings, or wearing your true colors on your shoulder while you're in court? Anything you want to share with us?
I've actually never been to court as an attorney. I work mostly on the transactional side. I think the only time I went to court with somebody, I was there as a supportive person, and it was when my firm had T-shirt Friday. And I was like, all right, I'm going to court in T-shirt and jeans, and if anyone realizes that I'm a lawyer, oh well.
I
So
love it. I love it. I
I did get in trouble at a courthouse once, though.
well, let's hear about it. I want to hear all
Um,
about it. Just
so
between you and me.
I know, just between friends. So we see behind me is actually the photo shoot from when I became the ABA legal rebel in 2012 for my work in flash mob law. And the ABA said, we're going to send you these red Converse with the legal rebel logo on it. You have to wear the shoes in your photo, or you have to have the shoes in your photo. And that was all the instruction they gave us. They said, we don't care what you do with it. I'm like, okay, like you realize I'm a flash mob attorney. I've had people ask me to do photo shoots in my underwear. So, you know, guidelines are good. Guidelines are good for people like me. And they're like, nope, do whatever you want. I'm like, awesome. So I went and scoped out the courthouses because Phoenix has some very beautiful architecture, and I kind of wanted to do something like that in my photo. And I saw this huge statue of a horse outside the courthouse. And we knew we were going to be doing the photo shoot at like 6 o'clock in the morning because that's when the lighting's good. And I looked around this horse. There were no signs that said, don't climb the horse. And I looked. I am a responsible flash mobber. I do my research. No sign. So 6 o'clock in the morning, me and my photographer and his assistant are at the courthouse. Nobody, and this is before the Legal Rebel announcement, so we're trying to keep it, you know, hush hush. So I'm like, okay, we got to get in, get this photo shoot, and get out before someone realizes what we're doing. So I go up on the horse, and about 20 minutes later, out came court security, and he was like, "What are you doing?" Like, you can't be up there. And he was coming for a fight, and he was looking at us and saying, you know, we have videotape of you. And we all looked at him and were like, all right. There wasn't a sign, and we're doing a professional photo shoot. And once he realized we weren't like some jerks, like just trying to cause trouble, he actually said, like, well, you still got to get down for liability reasons, but did you get the shot you needed?
I love it. I love it. I'm hoping you tell me you've got a shot with him sitting behind you on the horse with his arms around you, hanging on for dear life.
You know, he wouldn't go for that one. You know, I think he's afraid of heights because that horse was actually pretty big. So if you see the photo, the horse has a gun on it. Like the gun is like as long as my thigh. So yeah, the thing is big, but it was fun.
What's impressive is, you know, having grown up in Tucson and spending my first 21 years of my life there almost full time. I traveled a little bit with you in Phoenix, understanding Arizona culture and Arizona law. What you're doing in Phoenix, I would imagine you probably stand out a little bit, both you know, around the courthouse, in the office, and in the business community. What do you suggest to other lawyers who have their own interests, passions, political agendas, equal rights agendas, whatever it might be? Is there a balance to being yourself and promoting your agenda, trying to make the world a better place, while at the same time not allowing doors to shut behind you in the business world, and allowing opportunities to go the other way? Or, I mean, you tell me how you handle all of these combined influences in your daily life, if you would, so our readers can make this, learn from what you've experienced, and hopefully move forward in a productive fashion.
Sure. I once had somebody ask me how I separate my professional and my personal lives, and my answer is I don't.
I knew you were going to say that.
Honestly, it makes it easier. I never have to worry about my professional versus my personal persona. It's one person. I'm just me. And really, with as much as my life that's online between Twitter and my blog and YouTube, I've put a whole lot out there, and I will own it in any situation. And I've had that happen where people ask me about, you know, flash mobs, and I'm networking, and I'm like, all right, this is what you want to talk about. Okay. And no matter where I go, nobody can ever throw something in my face that I've done and have me be embarrassed, because I'm like, yep, did that. Yep, do that, said that, whatever. And I think it's when I've been real that I make the connections that lead to professional opportunities that I want. So unless someone is is in a situation where they can only be one way to reach a certain goal, and they are willing to make that sacrifice to make it happen, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I respect it. I could never do it. I mean, I tried to, I've tried to fit the mold. I've tried to fit in and behave, and it just doesn't work. So for me, I can only speak for myself, but it's when you fully embrace who you are and follow the beat of your own drum, whether that happens to match somebody else's or not. You're going to meet the people that are really in your tribe, not the ones that you think should be in your tribe, and I think are going to lead to possibly better opportunities than you could imagine. That's what happened to me. I thought, I dreamed about doing, writing and speaking, but it was one of those like, yeah, that's something that happens to other people. And it's like, no, that's what happens in my life. But it's because I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I met the people who are like, yeah, go do it. I'm like, all right, let's do it and see what happens. And so far it's working out.
It's working out really, really well, and it's so cool that you figure this out now in your life, as opposed to a lot of lawyers after 20, 25 years. That's when they figure out it's okay to be themselves. That's
right.
When they figure out it's okay to be transparent, and by then they're burnt out, they're tired, they're probably not even interested in practicing law anymore. I think with the digital platforms and social media, it's really allowed people to be themselves and to get known and share their message with the world in a much easier fashion. Real quick, I know I've got you for about 30 minutes or so. There's a couple of other things that I know you're involved with, daddy blogging, improv, and things like that. Why don't you pick one of those topics or another topic and just share a little bit with us so we can learn more about Ruth Carter and some of the things that you're doing outside of the office and outside of the courtroom.
Well, one of the things I'm doing this year is a lot of speaking. About using social media. So I just came back from the Dad 2.0 Summit in San Francisco, where this was a conference for dads who blog about being dads. And they were the most fantastic group of people. And I was on hand to just chat with them about the legal do's and don'ts when it comes to their blog. So they were asking me about, copyright and using images and trademarks, and a lot of them get free products, but you have to disclose that when you write posts about it. So it was just really great to have these conversations. And then I'm going on tour next month for 2 weeks, going to be talking to law students at law schools and bar associations and lawyers about how to use social media professionally and how to use it effectively to create professional opportunities for themselves. And also along the way, it's going to be a crazy road trip from San Diego to Seattle. Going to do 5 big speaking engagements, but also other interviews and meetings with people along the way who are movers and shakers in the legal social media world and just the social media world in general. So that's going to be an insane 2 weeks. Going to be so much fun. And then after that, I'm speaking at the New Media Expo in Vegas about social media law. I'm going to the Ungagged conference in London to talk about, that's going to be an interesting one. My topic there is the same as my first book, The Legal Side of Blogging, How Not to Get Sued, Fired, Arrested, or Killed.
I love it. I love it.
But I'll be speaking with an international audience, so the answer to every question I tell them is going to be like, okay, everything is going to depend on which law applies, and I'm not just talking about state and federal, it's state, national, international, so that'll be fun.
When are you going to be in London?
I will be in London in May.
In May. All right. We're going to be over there a little bit before then also. So I was just curious if we'd be over there at the same time. Do you know Chrissy Lightfoot, the Naked Lawyer?
The name is familiar. We've never met in person.
You'll have to, I'm going to connect you by email. Okay, you have to connect with her. She lives over there. She's out of Leeds, England, which is not too far from London, but she's the entrepreneur lawyer. She's written The Naked Lawyer, and now her second book's out. Fascinating woman who the two of you will connect. I mean, she's social media oriented, and that's what it's all about. Ruth, if people would like to connect with you and follow your speaking engagements as you make your way not only across the country but across the world, I'm assuming you're going to be posting pictures and blog posts and social media posts about what's going on and what you're doing. How can they stay connected with you?
So the best way, if you want to follow me, kind of live, is Twitter, and my handle is @RBCarter. And then my personal website is carterlawaz.com, and that's where I blog every week and am posting about the tour and things like that. And if you just put my name into Google, you'll probably find me.
And it's easy to find you. You're very findable, Ruth. I mean, it's that's what it's all about. Listen, this has been. You still there, Ruth? Are you back?
I am back. Did I freeze? Did you freeze?
You know what? We're moving forward. I have no idea. But what I was going to
I don't
say
know.
is everything you're talking about, I get, and I can't wait to share the power of connecting and communicating with my audience, especially the older guys and gals in the audience, because this is what it's all about right here. It's all about mobile, and it's
It
all
is.
about connecting. And while lawyers may think communicating is using the phone or using the fax or eye to eye, person to person, I get all that. But
What's a
guess what?
fax?
I know. What is a fax? But in the real world, when I want to talk to my kids, this is how we talk, and we communicate every single day, more so than I ever communicated with my folks growing up, and it's amazing. But hey, Ruth, real quick before we leave, and please stay on the line after we sign off. Let me just share with everybody some shows we have coming up later this week. They're fascinating. I've got Alex Holden of Hold Security. Alex is a cyber security expert. He's the guy, he and his firm, that discovered 1.3 billion username and passwords hacked by Russian hackers and brought it to the attention of the U.S. government. We're going to talk about the Anthem Blue Cross hack. We're going to talk about the Sony Pictures Studios hack and what you can do to help protect your business and your personal life online. We've got Ann Miller, who's the metaphor expert. She's helped me with my opening statements. She comes up with metaphors and has some outstanding books that all of us can use to communicate more effectively. And I've got Sue Zimmerman on later this week, who's an Instagram expert and a friend of mine at Instagram, and she's really going to show all of us, especially lawyers and other professionals, how to use Instagram and the social platforms to connect visually with clients and prospective clients. So it should be fun. Ruth, thank you very much for being on the show today. Really appreciate it. So nice to connect with you. I can't wait to read about, hear, and watch your speaking engagements across the world. And I will reach out to you regarding Christy Lightfoot and connect the two of you. It was fun.
Thank you so much. And I'm actually going to be in your neighborhood during the tour, so hopefully we'll get to actually shake hands in person.
Well, you look. We're talking breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Let's make sure we connect and at least say hi. The pleasure would be all mine, okay?
Done.
Okay. All right, Ruth. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for being on the Human Side Interviews and joining us. You can catch all past and future shows at human.social. I'm Mitch Jackson. Have a great day, and remember to always make today your masterpiece. Bye-bye.